I want to start out by saying congratulations on investing in a Nutri-Stall cooking system. Not only is this a fantastic set of cookware, but it's a product that can save you time, money, and most importantly, your health. In this video, we're going to show you just a few features and benefits and also give you a few great recipes to try. Once again, congratulations. One of the benefits of owning this product is being able to cook your fruits or vegetables without water. I'm just going to do a real quick demonstration for you here to show you what cooking with water does to your fruits or vegetables. I've got some grated carrots here, and I'm just going to put them in this glass, and we're going to pretend to cook the carrots in the glass. Now, normally if you're cooking your carrots on top of the stove, you'd add a little bit of water. So what we're going to do is put some water with the carrots. Then we would turn the stove onto high, bring the water to a boil, and then you turn the heat down. Now after a while you lift the lid and you give the carrots a poke with a fork, and you can tell they're done when they don't have enough life to hang onto the fork. Now Dr. Charles Mayo, founder of the Mayo Cancer Clinic, he says that when the color's gone, that's when the vitamins are gone. When the flavor's gone, that's when the natural minerals and sugars are gone out of your food. All I'm going to do now is drain this excess water down the sink, and what you can see is that the color is left in the water. Now a lot of people will say, well, I don't I don't boil my vegetables, I steam them. Well actually, if you've ever steamed spinach, what color is the water that comes out of the spinach? It's actually green. So where is the nutrition going? It's ending up in the water, or it's going up in the steam that you're losing while you're cooking. Good rule of thumb, if you can smell your vegetables cooking, that's the goodness leaving. Using this product, we keep all the nutrition locked in the food. Therefore, your food's much healthier when you're eating. We're just going to show you the construction of the cookware quickly. On the base is encapsulated. There's a combination of light alloys inside. The base is designed to do three things. The first thing it does is it spreads the heat evenly across the bottom. The second thing it does, it acts as a buffer zone between the hot element and the food to help prevent scorching or burning. And the third thing it does, it retains heat. So you can start your stove on medium and then turn your cookware down to low, and it cooks very efficiently. One of the things that we're going to do right now to show you how efficiently the heat gets spread in the cookware is what's called the ice test. I'm going to take a piece of ice and I'm going to set it on this cutting block here. You'll see it basically sits there. It's not going to melt very quickly. I'm going to take another piece of ice and put it right in the skillet. And what you'll see is that almost instantly the ice in the skillet will start to melt. What that's telling us is that the cold energy from the ice cube is being pulled into the base of the cookware, and it will spread that cold energy across the bottom. Of course, when you're cooking on top of the stove, the same thing happens, but it happens with heat. Once again, the ice cube on the cutting block is basically sitting there, and you'll see how quickly the ice cube in the skillet is beginning to melt. I'm going to do one more demonstration for you here just to show you the different kinds of cookware that are on the market today. We have a cast iron skillet over here. We have an aluminum saucepan. We have a aluminum fry pan that's actually coated with a non-stick coating. I'm going to pour a glass of water in each one of these units, and this is just some regular clean water. Then we're going to give each pan a scrub using this copper wool here. So we're going to give each one about 20 scrubs or so, just to see what actually comes off of each pan. Now we're going to give the non-stick coating a scrub. Now normally you wouldn't scrub a non-stick coating pan, but you do agree that they wear off with time, or they wear out over time. Now what we're going to do here is just show you what actually comes off of the skillet over time. You go in there with a fork or something like that. When you heat up and cool down these pans, eventually they wear out. The manufacturer tells you that if you get a scratch in a non-stick coating pan, that you're supposed to throw it away. Normally, we don't do that though. We throw away the skillet after the coating's actually worn right off. Now we have an aluminum saucepan. Aluminum is a very, very soft metal. And your food reacts with aluminum in different ways, especially if you're cooking something acidic like tomato sauce or rhubarb. People always wonder why after they cook tomatoes in an aluminum pan, why the pan's sparkling clean, because that comes from the acidic reaction that happens with tomatoes and aluminum. So there's the aluminum one, and of course we're going to give the cast iron pan a little scrub. Now cast iron, when you buy it, it's not black in color, it's actually a silver gray color. And then once you cook in it, season it, it starts to get black over time, and it's very tough to clean it. The only way you can clean a cast iron skillet is if you actually throw it in a fire and burn all of the food residues out that get locked in there because it's such a porous metal. So we're just going to set this off on the side. Now, if you were very thirsty and you went over to a water fountain, and the water that came out of the fountain looked like this, most people wouldn't drink it. Believe it or not, this is actually a very clean cast iron fry pan. So if we go over to the aluminum fountain, and look at the color of the water that comes out of there, you can see it's got that silver tone. It's the same color as the aluminum pan. Now the Teflon one, or non-stick coating, should be somewhat of an improvement, but if you look very close, you see all those little flakes that are floating around in there. That's that Teflon coating that's coming off and ending up in your food. And then lastly, let's go over to the dripless pouring edge with the Nutri-Stall pan. And of course the water is crystal clear. One more interesting note to make: take a piece of clean paper towel, and we're just going to wipe the floor here real quick. Now the floor here is very clean. You can see that there's really nothing that you can see on the paper towel. But knowing that I just wiped the floor with that, most people would rather choose a clean paper towel to wipe their mouth with. Taking this clean paper towel, I'm just going to wipe the inside of this cast iron skillet. Now have a look at that. By looking at the cast iron skillet, it looks like it's actually cleaner to eat off of the floor than it does out of that skillet. Let's have a look at the aluminum. Aluminum, once again, very soft metal. If you ever worked with aluminum before, your hands get silver from it. That's the aluminum just coming off. It keeps going into your food. So you can see the aluminum color. And we'll give the non-stick pan a wipe. You can actually see some of the coating coming off. And very last, we're going to give a wipe with the Nutri-Stall skillet, and you can see, of course, that it's clean. So cooking the Nutri-Stall way, it's the cleanest way. There is a reason why they don't use cast iron in surgery, they don't use aluminum in surgery, or non-stick coatings. They don't use any of that. It's not deemed to be clean. This is the metal that they use in surgery because it's clean. It's non-reactive. It's safe to go in your body. That's the same reason why we use it in our cookware. It's safe to put your food in. The food is not going to react with your cookware. I was surprised to find out that the average North American family goes through 5 to 7 different sets of cookware in a lifetime. Most people at any given time have many different kinds of cookware on the go. They don't look alike, they don't cook alike, they don't last the same length of time. What we have here is a complete 22-piece set of Nutri-Stall cookware. And what I'm going to do is take some time here to show you how the pieces work together. First of all, we have these utility bowls. There's two different sizes of them, and they come with a plastic lid so that you can actually store food in the refrigerator. Now, one of the benefits is that it's made out of surgical steel so that the food will never react with your bowl. The bowls also work as a dome lid. So one of the things that you can do is cook like a larger volume of food, let's say a standing rib roast or something like that. Now, one of the drawbacks is that the lids don't have a knob on the top, so the company invented a heat-resistant suction knob so it allows you to remove the lid without burning your fingers or having to use oven mitts. Now, the bowls also work as a double boiler. So if you like to melt chocolate or heat milk, you can do that in there quite efficiently. The lids also work with the utility bowls, so when you're taking food out of the fridge, you can actually reheat it right back in the same unit that you stored it in. Stack cooking is a real benefit using this cookware. Using the large and the small utility bowl at the same time, you can actually stack cook. If you ever wish you had an extra burner on the stove, rather than turning food down to low, you can actually turn the burners off and stack the food up. That way, you're efficiently using one burner to cook with 3 different vessels. Another feature that we have is the utility rack. And the utility rack sits inside the 8-quart. Now, we could be cooking a roast beef and vegetables in the bottom and bake a cake right on top of the roast with the small utility bowl, and then use the large utility bowl to cover it to create an oven effect right inside. So we have roast beef, vegetables, and cake for dessert all in one unit. So that's the efficient use with these utility bowls. Now, the utility rack has another feature. It comes in 2 parts so that it can be used in 2 different sizes of cookware. You can see that rather than just drilling holes, we actually created a grater system so that you can grate cheese or carrots on top of a salad, or cheese right on top of some broccoli or cauliflower that you've just cooked. And the adapter ring can be used in the skillet. The skillet now can be used for frying some bacon or frying some breakfast sausages. Take the cover off of the 4-quart, and now you've limited the spattering. The air can pass through the holes around the utility ring and get your bacon or your sausages nice and crisp, but keep the spattering down to a minimum on top of your stove. So it really virtually eliminates the mess. We also have a colander insert, which got nicknamed the degreaser. Colander insert works over here with the 4-quart roaster. What you can do is put some water in the bottom, about 1 inch or 2, preheat it on medium-high, put the colander inside. Now you can take frozen breakfast sausages or hamburger meat and defrost, cook, and take the fat and grease out of the sausages or hamburger meat. Now let's just say you've cooked some hamburger meat in here. We can use the lid as a trivet, set the hamburger meat off on the side, and you've got the greasy water. Dump out the greasy water. The base is still charged up with heat energy, so now we can dump our hamburger meat for browning back into the saucepan, and then you can add your sauce, like your spaghetti, to make a spaghetti sauce or lasagna. Also, we've got this utility basket that works over here with the 8-quart. It's great for cooking clams, mussels, scallops, or if you want to deep fry. For draining, it just hangs right on the side of the 8-quart. Works wonderful for that. Now, a hot lid, I love this feature. If you're anytime you're looking for a place to put a hot lid, they all hang in the short handles. Now, for serving, if you take a hot lid and set it on a counter, it's balanced so it'll never burn or scorch your countertop, but the skillet will actually sit right in the lid, so you can serve right out of your cookware. That does 2 things. First of all, it protects your table. Second of all, it re-insulates that base to keep your food hot much longer. When you first receive your cookware, you want to make sure that you wash it. Wash it with some hot soapy water, and make sure that you put a cup of vinegar in with the water just the first time you wash it. If there's any manufacturer's oils left on the cookware, you want to make sure you get it all off before you cook with it. So that's what the cup of vinegar is for. Next, we're going to show you how to cook some vegetables in this skillet without using any water. We've got a nice array of vegetables over here. We've got some carrots, some broccoli, some cauliflower, and also some red pepper. One of the benefits of using this skillet to be able to cook your vegetables, it's important to get a variety of vegetables. A lot of times people don't want to mess up 2 or 3 different saucepans just to try and get a variety of vegetables, so they end up just having one with their meal. So here's a really easy way of getting a variety without having all the mess to clean up. All right, so we've got some really nice color, some red pepper we're going to place in there also. And I'm going to do a demonstration for you here, but before I do that, I'm going to rinse these vegetables off first. I'm just going to rinse them with a little bit of water, and I'm going to drain the excess water off. In the grocery store, normally the sprinklers come on and keep the vegetables nice and fresh. So these vegetables, we're just going to rinse them just like they do in the grocery store, and we're going to drain the excess water down the sink. Okay, just to keep them nice and fresh. Now, I'm going to put a paper towel in the middle, and on the paper towel I'm going to put some salt. Now, salt is a mineral, and what happens to salt when it goes into the water? It dissolves. Now, we didn't add any water in here today, so what's going to happen if the salt doesn't move, if it's still there when we're finished cooking these vegetables? Would it be safe to say that the minerals in our food are still there, that they haven't been dissolved away, they haven't moved? Therefore, if the minerals don't move in our food, that also means the flavors won't move, so there won't be any taste transfer. Of course, with regular cooking, you don't have to do this demonstration, but this is a great way just to show you how there will be no taste transfer in with the food. So now we're going to cover the skillet, and we're going to turn the stove onto medium heat, halfway between low and high. We have a built-in temperature gauge, and that's on all the pieces of the cookware. So it takes away the guesswork. If you're using regular cookware at home, and I said you want to turn your cookware down to low when it reaches between 40 and 60 degrees Celsius, it'd be pretty difficult to do without a temperature gauge. So with this, we have a temperature gauge that's built in. Currently, it's in the blue zone at 20. When it reaches between 40 to 60 in the green zone, that's when we're going to lower the heat in the cookware, turn it down to low, and that's where we're going to actually get the maximum energy savings and nutritional savings also in the food, and it'll cook much quicker once it goes into a vacuum on low heat. So we'll wait until it gets between 40 and 60 in the green zone, and then we're going to turn the heat down to low. As you can see, the vegetables have reached between 40 and 60 degrees in the green zone, so we're going to turn the vegetables down to low, let them cook for about 10 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes now. We're going to have a look at our vegetables and see if they're done. Wow. One of the things I want to point out is you can see that the salt is still there, that it hasn't moved. We're going to set the lid over there so we can use it as a trivet. We'll take out the salt. Once again, the salt was just for demonstration purposes. Have a look at the color in the vegetables. Once again, you can serve it right in the trivet. Of course, every stove is different, so you want to be able to monitor the temperature. The temperature gauge that's built into your cookware will tell you if your stove is too hot. Once you've turned it down to low, the needle should never go into the red or well into the red. You always want to try and keep it in the green zone. Of course, it will cook much faster if the needle goes deep into the green zone. But into the red zone starts getting a little bit too hot. So one of the beauties of this cookware is it'll actually tell you if your food is getting overcooked. Next, we're going to show you how to fry a ribeye steak without using any greases, fats, or oils. And we're going to do it in the 11-inch skillet over here. Now, I've been preheating the 11-inch skillet. Good rule of thumb, if you're going to sear or fry anything, you always want to preheat. The way to check the temperature of the cooking surface is just to sprinkle a little bit of cold water in there, and the water should actually bead up and roll around. And if it just sputters off and evaporates, it's not quite hot enough yet, and then you may have a problem with the steak sticking. So the water's definitely rolling around, it's beaded up. So now what we're going to do is take this beautiful ribeye steak, and we're going to place it right in the skillet. Now, when the steak's ready to be turned over, we're going to add some portobello mushrooms, and then we're going to cover it. For now, we're just going to crack the lid. That's going to allow the air to pass through over the steak, and it'll get it nice and golden brown on the underside. All right, our steak is ready to be turned over. Look at that, it's just releasing just beautifully. Nice and caramelized on the underside. And instead of just cooking it on its own, I'm going to throw a few portobello mushrooms in there just to finish it off, and we'll throw a little bit of steak spice, and I'm going to crack the lid. Now once again, always preheat when you're going to sear or fry anything. If you wanted to do a pork chop, you do it the same way. If you wanted to cook some chicken, fried chicken, you do it the exact same way. So we're just going to leave the lid cracked like this just for a few more minutes. We're going to take the steak out, and then we're going to cook the mushrooms a little bit more with a little bit of red wine. Okay, our steak is ready. We're going to take it out of the pan. Oh, it looks just beautiful. Ready to be served. And we're going to take a little bit of red cooking wine just to deglaze the pan. Toss our mushrooms around in there a little bit. I'm going to cover these just for about 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to serve the mushrooms right beside the steak. Next, we're going to show you how to cook some rice using a temperature gauge. It's really quite simple. We're going to use a 2-to-1 water to rice combination. So we've washed the rice off already. Now we're just going to add the water. And we're going to place the cover on. We're going to turn the stove to medium heat, halfway between low and high. Now once the temperature gauge reaches between approximately 60 or halfway in the green zone, that's when we're going to lower the heat down to a minimum. You can actually turn the heat off, and the rice will actually finish cooking on top of the stove. That's how energy efficient this cookware is. So once again, it started on medium. When it reaches between 50 and 60 in the green zone, that's when we're going to lower the heat. The rice has reached about the 60-degree mark in the center of the green zone, so now we can turn the rice down to low and let them cook for about 10 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes now. Well, let's have a quick look at the rice and see how it's doing. Oh, it looks just beautiful. Wonderful. It's fluffy and flaky. One of the things with this cookware is you can never go wrong when you're cooking your rice. Okay, next we're going to cook something for you that's a little bit different than what you've ever seen. First of all, we've preheated our 8-quart roaster, and this is what we're going to cook: a roast beef, some vegetables, and a cake for dessert, all in one unit here. Now, with the roast beef, what we've done is we've cut little slots in it, and we've put whole garlic cloves in. We've probably got about 8 or 10 of them in there. So we're going to take the roast, and we're going to lay it in this preheated 8-quart roaster. So we're going to sear it and brown it. Remember, if you're going to sear or fry anything, you always want to preheat it first. So we're going to let that start browning. And then over here, we're going to mix up a cake mix that we're going to cook inside with the roast. So we're just going to use a Betty Crocker cake mix. And calls for 3 eggs, and it also calls for 1/3 of a cup of cooking oil. Now normally you put oil in a cake, because normally when you bake a cake in the oven, you don't put a lid on it. So what happens is the moisture in the cake would just evaporate. So we have a pretty small oven here once we put the cover on, and one of the benefits of this type of cooking is being able to actually bake a cake without having to add any extra oil. All right, so the roast is searing up nice. So we're just going to mix the cake up. Now this is going to be a chocolate cherry jubilee cake. It's upside down. So it's very easy to do, and it's very impressive if you have friends over. Very simple, it's very easy. So once the roast is finished searing, we're going to put some onions in with it, then we're going to add these potatoes, we're going to add these carrots, and then we're going to put the cake on top of the roast and the vegetables. Just going to add a little bit of water. Okay, let's have a look. See how the roast is doing. It's searing up very nicely. So it's releasing from the pan, so we're going to turn it over. Oh, it's beautifully browned. All right, now we're going to add some onions. Then we'll add some seasoning. Adding lots of onions and seasoning, lots of onions I should say, makes for a really nice gravy, because one of the things you're going to notice is the roast is going to shrink very little when it's cooked this way on top of the stove. So we're going to put some carrots and some potatoes in with the roast. Now we've got the roast on the temperature right now on the stove. It's approximately medium high. There's going to be a fair amount of food in there, so it's going to take a fair amount of energy to actually be able to cook it. Okay, now we're going to put some cherry pie filling into our utility bowl. And this is the bottom now, but when we turn the cake over, because it's an upside down cake, it's going to be the top. We did grease the pan, so it'll help the cake to release when it's finished cooking. Okay, so we're just going to pour the cake mix right on top of the cherry pie filling. Spread that around a little bit. Now this whole meal takes about 40 to 45 minutes to cook. Very simple, very easy. Very fast. Okay, here's where we use our utility rack. Actually, I'm going to put a little more seasoning on the vegetables. I'm going to cover the vegetables with the utility rack. Now we're going to set the cake on top of the roast and the vegetables. Very simple. And now we're going to use the larger utility bowl as a lid. Now we're going to leave this on medium-high until it just starts to bubble out the sides a little bit, and the lid will start to float. It'll be hot to the touch right in the center. So we're just going to leave this go. It'll take about 5 or 10 minutes for it to heat up, and then we'll be able to turn it down to low. We're going to cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes a pound. It depends how you like your roast done. All right, so we'll be right back and when we turn the roast down to low. Okay, we've had the roast on for a few minutes. It's been on medium the whole time, and you can see it's just bubbling out of the sides a little bit, and the lid is very hot to the touch right in the center. So now we're going to turn it down to low, and we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes on low. It's only about a 3-pound roast in there, so about 10 to 15 minutes a pound is plenty to cook it. So we'll check back in about 30 minutes. It's been about 30 minutes since our roast has been turned down to low, so let's have a look and see how it's doing. Remember, the cake is on top I'm going to tip the lid back away in case there's any moisture on the underside of the lid. We want to make sure it runs away from the cake. Look at the cake. It looks beautiful. Okay, now with the cake, what we're going to do, remember the cherries are on the underside, so this is going to be an upside down cake. We're going to set the plate on top, we'll flip it over and we'll let that cool on the side. That's for dessert. And then we'll be ready to serve the roast beef and the vegetables. Okay, so here's our cake. That we'll get to show you later. And then we'll have a look over here. We'll take out the roast and we'll let you see all the juice to make a real wonderful gravy. Next, we're going to cook an Oriental chicken breast, and this turns out just wonderful, and once again, it's really easy. We're going to use the 11-inch skillet, and I've got some chicken breasts here that we're going to lay in the skillet. Now, this is a cold skillet. We're not searing or frying, so we're just going to lay them in. We're going to put a little bit of garlic. We've got some chopped garlic that we're going to put around the chicken. And we're going to put a little bit of soy sauce. This is a really, really easy dish. It's wonderful, served with a little bit of rice or some vegetables. Then we're going to take a little brown sugar. A little brown sugar, and we're going to put that on top of the chicken. Now we're going to cover it. We're going to turn the stove to medium. When the indicator reaches between 40-60 in the green zone, then we're going to turn it down to low. We're just going to cook it for about 5 to 8 minutes because the chicken breast doesn't need very much cooking at all. And then it'll be ready to be served. Okay, our Oriental chicken should be finished. Let's have a quick look. Yep, it's done to perfection. So what we're going to do now is just turn the chicken over. Looks beautiful. We'll take it out on a cutting board, we'll slice it, and then we'll set it on a plate or a platter, and then we'll pour the remaining juice and garlic on top of the chicken, and we'll be ready to be served. Next, we're going to cook for you some salmon and a little bit of asparagus. Now, we're not going to sear or fry the salmon, so we're going to use a cold skillet to start. What's really nice about this dish, of course, is that you can do it all in one pan, so you only have one to wash up at the end. So we're going to lay the salmon fillet in there with the asparagus right beside it. We'll put a little bit of Italian seasoning on the salmon. Put a couple of lemon slices on there. Now we're going to cover. We're going to turn the stove to medium heat. When the indicator reaches between 40 and 60 in the green zone, then we're going to turn the heat down to low just for about 5 or 6 minutes, and the salmon and the asparagus will be ready to be served. Okay, our salmon should be ready to be served. What we did is we heated it up between 40 and 60 degrees in the green zone, then we turned it down to low for about 6 or 7 minutes. Let's have a look. Oh wow, it looks fantastic. It's just flaky, done to perfection. We'll set the cover down as a trivet. Dinner's ready to be served. Bon appetit. Next, we're going to do another all-in-one dish for you. We're going to cook some chicken cacciatore in this 8-quart roaster, and we're going to cook some rice inside with the chicken cacciatore. So we've got a preheated saucepan here, first of all, and we've got some garlic that we're going to throw in there just to brown that a little bit. Now, we haven't added any oil or any fats whatsoever, and we're going to put some onion in there and toss that around just a little bit. Give that garlic a little bit of that roasted flavor. This dish is really, really easy to do. If you've got a family, it's really simple. We've got some chicken. These are chicken thighs, and you can use any part of the bird. Doesn't matter, and you can use bone in or bone out. These are chicken thighs with the bone removed. So we're going to set those in there. Toss that around a little bit. I love doing this dish because it's so easy to do, because you can just throw everything in all at the same time, cover it, and away it goes. We've got some tomatoes, fresh chopped tomatoes. We'll throw those in there. We have some stewed tomatoes. Mix those in with it. And we'll add a little bit of Italian seasoning. Also got some peppers, some green, red, pardon me, not green, but we have some red and yellow and orange peppers. We have a jar of roasted garlic sauce. Now you could use any flavor you choose. This happens to be one of my favorites. And we've got some mushrooms. Add some of those in there. Okay. Now, we could just cover it with a regular cover, leave it on medium, wait till the indicator gets to about 60 and then turn it down to low, let it cook for about 30 minutes. Instead, today though, we want to cook the rice inside with it. So we're going to use this utility rack, and we're going to cover the chicken cacciatore using the dome lid. Leave that on about medium high, and now over here, we've got some rice ready to go. It's 2-to-1 rice to water combination, or pardon me, water to rice combination. We're going to start this on medium, and once the rice is ready to turn it to low, instead of turning it to low, we'll finish cooking it inside with the chicken cacciatore, and then we can do everything all in one together. So we'll let this heat up, and we're going to let our chicken cacciatore heat up. When the rice is ready to go inside the chicken cacciatore, we'll get right back to you. Okay, our chicken cacciatore is bubbling out the side a little bit, and the rice is reading 60. So instead of turning the rice down to low, we're actually going to turn it off, and we're going to set it over here right on top of our chicken. Just going to use a towel here. We'll set that on top of the chicken. Set that cover back on. Now, what we're going to do is turn this down to low, let it cook for about half an hour, and dinner will be ready to be served. Okay, our chicken cacciatore has been on low for about 30 minutes now with the rice inside, so let's have a look and see how it's doing. All right, fantastic. Rice looks all nice and fluffy. Okay, so we're going to take the rice out. We'll set that off on the side, and then we'll let you have a look at the chicken. Next, we're going to show you how to cook one of my favorite dishes. We call this one Chinese pork tenderloin. It's really easy to do. We're using this jumbo skillet with dome cover, and we've preheated it on about a medium-high heat. So we want to make sure that it gets really good and hot. We've checked the temperature already by sprinkling just a little bit of water. And you can see how the water just beads up, it rolls around. That's how we know it's hot enough. Now what we're going to do is take our pork tenderloin and we're going to throw it in the skillet, and we're going to brown it up nicely first. Now remember, the pork will actually stick at first, and then as it sears, it will release, and it'll be nice and golden brown on the bottom. This dish is really easy to do. If you have some guests, friends coming over for dinner, you can really impress them really easily with this. Okay, so we're going to let this brown just for a little bit, and then we'll come back. You're going to see that nice caramelization that pork's going to get on the underside. Okay, let's see how our tenderloin's doing. Well, it's coming off beautifully. It's getting nice and browned. So we're just going to toss it around. And then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. So what we have to add, we have a little bit of soy sauce. You can put that in to taste. You can never go wrong with soy sauce. Probably want to put, with that much meat, probably about at least a quarter of a cup anyway. We're going to put 2 or 3 good tablespoons of brown sugar. Once again, you can do that to taste. And we're also going to use a little bit of cooking wine. And then we're going to cover. Another really great ingredient that you can add to this is some star anise cloves. You can just throw them in there and cook it all together, and it gives it that really nice licorice flavor also. So we're going to leave this on medium heat. We're going to let it reach have the indicator reach between 40 and 60 in the green zone, and then we're just going to uncover it. It should be finished by that time. And then we're just going to thicken it with a little bit of cornstarch to make a nice sauce that'll coat over the pork tenderloin, and we'll be able to serve that with some rice. All right, the tenderloin should be cooked. The indicator is about at 60. So what we're going to do is thicken it up with a little bit of cornstarch and some water to make a sauce that really sticks to the meat. All right, make a beautiful sauce for the rice too. Pour a little bit of that in there. So now we're just going to keep stirring until the sauce thickens, and then we'll be able to serve. Next, we're going to show you how to make a honey garlic lemon chicken. It's really easy and it's really tasty. We've got some garlic, about 1.5 bulbs of garlic that we've got chopped up here. So we're just going to cover the bottom of our skillet, and we're going to place a whole chicken on top. Now we've taken the skin and the excess fat off the chicken, so that'll make it somewhat healthier for us. And we're going to put some, we've got some lemon, and we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to puncture this lemon with a fork, just kind of perforate it all around, and some of the juice will run out of the lemon. We'll just pour it all over the chicken. Just give it a bit of a squeeze here. And then we're going to put the entire lemon right inside the chicken. We've got some honey that we're going to sprinkle or pour on top. Now, of course, we can't use the regular lid with this, so we're going to use actually one of the utility bowls, and we're going to put that on and use it as a dome lid. We also have some Italian seasoning. We'll sprinkle that on top. Now, a chicken that's thawed like this will cook anywhere 10 to 15 minutes a pound. So this chicken is about a 4-pound bird. It should be done in 45 minutes to an hour. And we've got a few more lemon slices. How about we put a few more of those on there. There we go. Now we're going to take our dome lid and we're going to sit it on top. We're going to turn our stove to medium heat, halfway between low and high. Now ideally, you want to cook with the temperature gauge, and it'll tell you when to turn it down to low. Of course, when we're using the dome lid, we don't have a temperature gauge, so what we're going to do is just wait until it starts bubbling out the sides a little bit. The lid will be hot to the touch right in the center, and then we'll be able to turn it down to low. And when we turn it to low, that's when we'll start the timing, and we'll cook it for about 45 minutes to an hour on low heat. Okay, our honey garlic lemon chicken is done. Let's have a quick look and see how it looks. Oh, wow. Looks fantastic. You can see the juice on the bottom makes an excellent sauce. This is served wonderfully with some rice. Okay, next we're going to show you how to cook a lazy man's lasagna. We're going to pre-cook the hamburger meat first. We're going to take the grease and the fat out of it using the colander insert. We'll show you exactly what we mean. Over here we've got some fresh hamburger meat, and we've already been preheating some water in the bottom of the colander insert. So we're just going to dump the hamburger meat inside. Going to break it up just a little bit, and then we're going to let that cook on about medium-high for about 10 minutes or so, just to get the fat and grease out of it, and then we'll brown it up in just a few minutes. Okay, our hamburger meat is finished cooking, and the fat and grease has been drained out of it. So what we're going to do is just set this off on the side. We've got a lot of greasy water, so we're just going to get rid of this. The base is still charged up with heat energy, so we're going to take the ground beef, because it's not really brown yet. We're going to put it back in the saucepan. So we'll just be able to brown it up a little bit. And to add a little bit of flavor, we'll put in some onions. We'll just toss those around. Then we've got a bunch of other ingredients to add. We have some Italian seasoning, of course. And we've got some yellow peppers. We have some ricotta cheese. We've got a little bit of your favorite spaghetti sauce or tomato sauce, whatever you like. We're just going to stir this around. This will be the easiest lasagna you've ever seen made. Now, one of the things that makes this lasagna so simple and easy we're going to cook it in the skillet on top of the stove, and we're going to add raw noodles or uncooked noodles. I'm just going to give them a stir. Now, if you'd like to make the lasagna by layering it up the way you normally would, you could do that too. But once again, this is nicknamed the lazy man's lasagna. So this is a real simple and fast way to do it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just simply dump our sauce in the skillet with the noodles. Now this skillet is cold, of course, it's not preheated. Remember, you only preheat if you're going to sear or fry. So we're just going to make sure that our sauce is evenly spread all around. As you can see, it's very, very simple. Now, for some mozzarella cheese. I'm going to spread that around. And we'll put a little bit of parsley. A little more Italian seasoning. Okay. Now we cover. We're going to turn the skillet to medium heat, halfway between low and high. And when our indicator reaches between 40 and 60 into the green zone, then simply we turn it down to low and let it cook for about 30 minutes on low heat, and then your lasagna will be ready to eat. Okay, our lasagna's been on low for about 30 minutes, so let's have a look and see if it's done. Wow, looks fantastic. One of the best parts about using this cookware is that all the lids work as trivets, so you can bring it right to the table and dinner's ready to be served. Next, we're going to show you how to make a real quick omelet. We've been preheating our 11-inch skillet here. If you're ever going to sear or fry anything, you should always preheat. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. You can use butter or cooking spray, what have you. I like to use olive oil. And then we're going to put our eggs that we've whipped up. Right on top, and we've got a few mushrooms that we'll put in there, and also a little bit of cheddar cheese. Now we're going to cover it just to let the cheese melt and cook the onions just for a minute or so, or cook the mushrooms, I should say. And in just a minute or two, we'll take the omelet and we'll fold it and we'll slide it out right onto a plate. We're just going to check the omelet here. It's coming along really nicely. We're going to fold it over. We'll add a little more cheese on top. We'll cover it just for another minute, and then it'll be ready to be served. Okay, our omelet is done. Let's get it out of the pan here and get it ready to be served. Oh, it looks beautiful. Just going to slide that out onto the plate. And we can garnish that. A couple of tomatoes. And how about a little Italian seasoning. There you go, breakfast is served. Okay, now we're going to show you how to hard cook a few eggs as opposed to hard boil. The reason why we call them hard cooked is because we're actually not going to use any water to do it. What I'm going to do is take this paper towel, I'm just going to rinse it under some water, under the tap here, and I'm going to lay the wet paper towel in the bottom of the 1 quart. Now, I'm going to lay a few eggs inside, I'm going to cover it, we're going to turn the stove to medium. Once again, when the indicator reaches approximately 50 in the green zone, then we're going to turn them down to low. When you turn it down to low, that's when you start your timing. If you like your eggs very soft, about 4 minutes. If you like them sort of medium, about 6 minutes. Well done, about 8 minutes. So we'll check back in just a few minutes. Okay, our eggs are sitting at about 50 in the green zone, so now we're going to turn them down to low and we're going to time them for about 6 minutes. That'll give you about a medium cooked egg. Okay, so it's been approximately 6 minutes, so what we're going to do is take the cover off the eggs and we're going to rinse them in some cold water. Just let them soak for a little bit and that'll let the shells come off much easier. And we'll cut them up for you. Okay, so we've rinsed the eggs in some cold water. We'll just cut it open there for you and you can have a look. Now what I'd like you to notice is that there's no dark gray ring around the egg. What that comes from is from cooking your eggs at really high temperatures, like the boiling point. So when you cook this way and monitor the temperature, you end up with without that dark gray ring. And also you don't get that strong sulfury smell from the eggs when you cook them this way. If your cookware has anything stubborn stuck onto it, what we recommend is that you put some water in while the cookware is still hot. Now, if it's too late and the cookware has already cooled down, put some water in, reheat it, and then majority of everything should just wipe out. Now, for regular washing, just use some hot soapy water. And to give your cookware that real brand new finish, we recommend a little bit of Barkeep's Friend and a paper towel. This will give it that brand new luster. Once again, just wash out the skillet. And your cookware can be dried off and it looks brand new.